watched a video that talked about the metric system and converting within the metric system. We're now going to do that together, and you're going to get some practice with that. So first thing that you're going to do is you need to take out of your notes the metric chart that you copied down and the useful conversions that are on the back of that, or that are underneath it. All right. You also should have open, and you all should have open, the Metric Conversion Practice 1. Make sure you got that. That should be open on your Chromebook. Okay, so we are going to do numbers 1, 4, 7, 14, and 16 together, because I know you watch the video, but sometimes it's a little bit easier to watch somebody actually do that. Now, a couple things before we start. Commas and decimals are our friends. We're going to use them. Don't forget to do that, okay? You've got to make sure you add commas, you got to make sure you add decimals, because people need to know what these numbers actually mean. And the other thing that I'm going to give you a hint about is that we're going to pretend that our decimal is in essence a game piece as we're moving it on our metric chart. So just a review of the metric chart. Right in the middle we have our base unit of 1. So this is where we've got our grams, our meters, our liters, which sometimes we're going to capitalize that, sometimes we won't. And we've also got our seconds. Then smaller units, which are going to be over here on the right, are going to be our deci. So 10 of these fit inside of one of these. Centi, 100 of these fit inside one of these. Milli, 1,000 units of these fit inside of one of these. So all we're dealing with is our powers of 10. So down here we've got 1/10, 1/100th, 1/1000th, or 0.1, 0.01, 0.001. And if I had a meter stick, that's what we would see. Our whole meter, we've got 10 decimeters in 1 meter, we've got 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. Okay, now on the other side, we've got our bigger prefixes. So we've got our deca, our hecta, or hecto, you can use hecto, and then our kilo. So what that means is this: 100 of these, 10 of these fit inside of one of these. 100 of these fit inside of one of these. 1,000 of these fit inside of one of these. So a kilometer would have 1,000 meters. A hectometer would have 100 meters. A decameter would have 10 meters. So that's what we've got: 10 times, 100 times, and 1,000 times. So that's just kind of how this chart's going to work. And each one of these is going to represent a decimal place. So now let's get started. So like I said, we are going to do number 1 together. I would strongly suggest that in your notes, right underneath where the metric chart is, you actually handwrite this out, and then you actually add the answer to your document later on. That is my suggestion as you're watching me do this. Now, some of you already know how to do this, some of you don't. I totally get that, but I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And I seriously doubt that a lot of you actually did any metric conversions, over the summertime or in the past 6 months. So probably your review is in order. So we're going to start with number 1. So number 1, we are going to convert 2 centimeters, and we want to know what that would look like in meters. How many meters would that be? Some of you already know. Don't be saying anything to your neighbors. Shh. Or don't be telling your cats, so you don't need to know it either. First thing that we need to do is we need to figure out where that decimal place is. So I'm actually going to rewrite that. My decimal place is going to be right here after the 2. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. Then I'm going to be like, okay, I know where my decimal is. I'm going to start with my prefix. So what do I know? Then I'm going to move to what I don't know. So I'm going to start at centi. So I go over here and I'm like, all right, this is where my decimal starts. I'm going from centi to meters. I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2 places to the left, because there's lots of these in one of these. So I'm going to take my decimal point, and I'm actually going to rewrite that. I'm going to put that right here. And I'm going to move that 1, 2 places. Each one of these represents a power of 10. And it's always a good idea to put our 0 there, because otherwise the decimal sometimes gets lost in the mix. So my answer is going to be 0.02 meters. Write that down. Now we're going to do number 4 together. Number 4, now we're going to start with 4 kilometers. And we want to know how many decameters that would be. Now some of you can already do that in your head. You're like, oh yeah, I got this many in there and I can do the numbers. All is well. So make sure everybody's on the right, we're all kind of doing the same thing. So first thing I need to know, where's my decimal? Here's my decimals right after the 4. Then I go to my chart. I'm like, all right, I'm starting with kilo. I want to go to deca. Start at kilo. And I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2 places to the right, because there's lots of these and one of these. I come back over here, get my blue pen, and I move my decimal 1, 2 places to the right. Each one of these is going to be a power of 10. So, let's see, did Miss Gentry do that correctly? Yes, she did. So we now have 400 decameters. Right. So now, let's do number 7 together, because you're starting to get the hang of this. So number 7, we've got 10 millimeters into centimeters. Now I will tell you, we may or may not need to convert this. This is something that you should know, that we all have what the relationship is between millimeters and centimeters. But let's just practice anyway. So we've got 10, we know where our decimal is, always need to know that. Then I'm going to start with, with milli, and I'm going to centi. Start here. I'm going to pretend like my decimal's a game piece. If that's what needs to do, if that's what you need to do, do it. So one of my students mentioned that, and it was really cool. So milli to centi. I'm going to move my decimal 1 place to the left. So I'm going to take my red, and we're going to move that 1 decimal place to the left. And I have 1 centimeter. All right, hopefully everybody's doing okay. I'm not going too fast. Let's do number 9 together. I'll try to write that in English this time. Close enough. Number 9, we want to go from 3 meters. And I want to know what that might be with hectometers. I think you got the drill now. Figure out where our decimal is. Go over to our chart, starting with meters, going to hecta. 1, 2. All right, so I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2 places to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2. Decimal goes here. So my answer should be, if I did it correctly, 0.03 hectometers. We're going to do 2 more, just to round this out. Let's do number 14 together. Number 14, it looks like 20 decimeters, and we want to convert that to millimeters. Don't freak out, we just got powers of 10. We're going to be okay. Same as what we're doing. Where's our decimal? Next, where are we starting? Oh, wait a second. That's not deca, that's deci. We need to start at deci. Got to pay attention to our prefixes. So let's start at deci. and we want to go to milli. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2 places to the right. Starting here, going here. It's one of the best ways to do it. That's the best way that I've learned how to do it. So I'm going to do my decimal 1, 2 places, this direction, or multiply it times 100, and I should end up with 2,000 millimeters. Don't forget to please use your comma. We like those a lot. Last one, just for good measure. Let's do number 16 together. All right, number 16. We want to do 15 kilograms. And we want to see what that might be in centigrams, which is weird. I've never seen anything measured in centigrams, but whatever. We know from what we've been doing, we know where we need to put our decimal. The decimal should be right there. And my writing's getting worse, I apologize. I'll try one more. Okay, better. We're going to start at kilo. We're going to go to centi. A lot of these in one of these. Move my decimal. We're going to count together. Count in your heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 powers of 10. Good to know. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zeros all go right here. That's also why I make these really obvious so I can tell where those are. Ooh, I'm going to put my zero, my commas in there. Wow, that's a lot. 1,500,000 centigrams. Okay, so now that you have these examples written down and how to do that, if you need to do it, great. If you don't, okay too. So now what you're going to do is you're going to work on the metric conversion practice, and then eventually we'll have a key available for you. All right.